can't believe it. I can't believe that Japan have come back against Spain. But from the very first day of this tournament, we haven't been able to communicate, I think, on big decisions really clearly to fans at home and even to us how these decisions are being overturned. And there was a goal that was disallowed, and VAR have seen something that we've not yet seen in this studio. We've not yet seen around the world. We can't get an angle of what the VAR officials have seen.
I think Spain are a bit confused, Gary. Sorry to interrupt you. I think they're uncertain as to what's going on, whether they're through or not. What we know is that Japan have beaten Spain and Germany and lost to Costa Rica, which is an extraordinary way round. Just to reiterate what Gary was saying, we have not seen any more angles than you have at home about that controversial winner. We have been provided with no more angles. We get all the pictures from what's called the host broadcaster. So there'll be nobody around the world who has seen any more angle than just the still of the curvature of the ball being over the edge of the line. Graham's looking at me as if to say, what language are you talking?
I'm wanting you to explain it to me. Every television studio, every pundit, everybody's got an interest in this World Cup will be wanting to see the picture. We're at the end where the incident happened. It looked to us in real time as if the ball went out. The pictures we've seen, it looks like the ball's gone out. Why are FIFA not showing us something which is so controversial, which has cost the Germans dearly? Why are they not showing it to us?
And just to reiterate, it's cost the Germans, it's cost the Spanish on the night, but it's cost the Germans in terms of progression.
This is enormous. I mean, why it's 45 minutes later, why are they not showing it to us? Clear it up for us, please.
Mark, I mean, I'm younger than Gary and Graham, but I can't remember a World Cup.
Full time in Germany. Full time in Germany have won 4-2. It means nothing. The Germans are out.
I was just about to say, I can't remember another World Cup with so many upsets. You've got Germany. I mean, Japan have done it again. You know, they've beaten Germany in the first game. They've beaten another massive nation, Spain. You know, as much as we were waxing lyrical at half time, they've beaten them. Belgium are out. You know, France lost the other night. It's just that, you know, for all the controversy coming into this tournament,
Morocco won their group.
Yeah. You know, the football has really spoken. It's been incredible games.
We were eulogising about Spain, how fabulous they were. Apart from the controversy, park that for a second. There was an old saying, or is an old saying in football, don't be surprised at the surprises in football. That is such a turnaround. It's hard to understand. A team that was so much in control, that looked a fabulous team, get rattled early on in the second half, albeit to what we think is an extremely contentious goal, and they've lost the game. But you also have to say, fair play to Japan, who...
They changed their system, didn't they?
Yeah, but they never give up, do they? It's that Japanese mentality. They're never going to throw the towel in. And they kept rattling into the challenges. They were overly aggressive in the first half, started aggressive in the second half, and they got a dividend. They ended up winning the game. But I still come back to it, Mark. I can't understand why FIFA are not showing us pictures which show conclusively that ball didn't go.
We're all waiting for the missing pictures. I'm surprised it's not banging on the walls here, because Japanese TV are right next door. This is one of the greatest moments of all time for Japanese football, Gary.
Absolutely unbelievable from Japan, but we've moved on enormously in this last few years in respect of technology. We've got hundreds of cameras in these stadiums now where we can't miss anything. And yet we've gone backwards in terms of demonstrating clear decisions. That goal was disallowed by the officials on the pitch. Someone in that VAR studio seen something which is absolutely categoric that they should overturn it, and we've not seen.
This is not subjective. This is not, in my opinion, this is a black and white situation. Show us the pictures, FIFA.
We're led to believe that the goal line cameras will have picked it up. Obviously, the goal line cameras are there for the ball going over the goal line.
Can we
we are told that the goal line cameras would have picked them up. Just to reiterate, it's Germany who've suffered as a result of this. That's what it means to the Japanese to have won this group, to have beaten Spain and Germany. I mean, it's a phenomenal achievement. The controversy surrounding the goal notwithstanding, it's an extraordinary achievement. Peter Walton is a man who's going to come up with a lot of answers.
He won't be able to answer it unless he's got pictures that we've not seen.
We'll give Peter a call during the break, and when we come back, hopefully Peter can shed some more light on it. It's Japan's night, no question about that, and the Spanish have squeaked through as runners-up. Back in a moment. I think it's time to call in Detective Peter Walton to try and sort out what's gone on here. Peter, I think we're fairly clear about the law. If the curvature of the ball is over any part of the line, then it's still in. But we've seen no more angles. We've seen no conclusive angle at all since that moment.
No, you're quite right there. And I'm seeing the same angles as you are, and you're quite right with the law as well. There's a misconception in law that just because the part of the ball that touches the ground is over the line, the ball's out. Well, it clearly isn't, because it's the curvature of the ball, as you quite rightly said. And we see this often at the corner kick taken when the ball's over the line, but not quite over the line. In this instance here, what the VAR is looking for is the evidence to suggest to the referee that the ball has clearly left the field of play. And if we're looking at the evidence that we're seeing in front of us, he doesn't have that in front of him. What I would suggest is the goal line technology uses those cameras there to see if the ball is in or out of the goal. Those same cameras are being used for VAR to discover whether or not that ball has left the field of play. So there are angles that will show that. If, however, a player's boot or a player's shin has just gone over the top of the ball so you can't see it clearly, then the VAR will say to the referee, I don't have that evidence to give you, Mr. Referee. Stay with your on-field decision. So we'll wait and see what pictures FIFA show us. But at the moment, the law is specific. The ball is still in play if the curvature of the ball touches or breaks that line. Do we have that evidence in front of us to show to the contrary? No, we don't.
But it's bizarre, Peter, that we haven't been supplied. Anybody in the world, all international broadcasters, no one has been supplied with that conclusive evidence. That's a bit odd, isn't it?
Well, that's very peculiar, actually, because if you remember at the start of this tournament, what FIFA said for offside decisions was that those decisions would be shown automatically to the stadium so people who was watching the game in the stadium could see them. And that technology is still available for this goal line decision here. So I'm at a miss as to why they haven't shown it yet, but clearly they've got the reasons behind it, and only time will tell. But I do think the evidence will appear sooner or later when that ball hasn't completely crossed that line.
Mark, we're getting close to an hour since the incident. There's the longer they don't come up with a picture. See that last bit there, that would tell me that ball's out of play.
Yeah. I mean, everybody at home looking at that, understandably, would interpret that as out of play.
The longer they don't produce a picture which shows conclusively that it's not going out of play, you're thinking there's something untoward going on. And that it has to be. There's 80 million Germans right now going mad, waiting for a picture that shows that ball didn't go out of play. I think every television studio, every pundit, every person that does your job is waiting for the picture. Why, nearly an hour later, are they not producing one?
Look, I don't believe in conspiracies. I just believe that in this tournament, they've just not demonstrated it. That high cam that's actually on the line does tend to suggest that there might be some of the ball over the line. But I'm struggling with it. From that very first offside goal disallowed, Ecuador v Qatar, game 1, I've struggled a little bit with it and found it uncomfortable that we're not being given the correct angles and the correct camera, because it just doesn't feel right.
Well, I mean, we're here live at the game. The first thing I said was it's gone out.
It was right in front of us.
Yeah. Our angle.
Just right down. We had a great angle.
It's the first thing I said. So, you know.
But why would you, if you're FIFA, knowing it's Germany, it's not a small footballing nation, why would you create what confusion and theories coming out about something's going on that shouldn't be going on?
I don't think that's happening. I think we
I'm
just
trying to choose my words very carefully.
Yes.
But why would you not want to clear that up immediately?
No, I agree.
The reason I'm a little bit relaxed is because Germany are the ones that are suffering, and we've suffered quite a lot at the hands of Germany over the years. So
I'm thinking it's giving them another goal to complain about, apart from Jeff Hurst. That's what I'm thinking at times. But you would, I mean, in all seriousness, you would. If you're Germany, you'd want to see the evidence. If the evidence is provided, and the evidence shows that it was in, then you could go okay. But until, you would understandably, you'd want to see the evidence.
Yeah, but the reality is you've got 3 games in a group game to be through.
Yeah.
Germany lost their first game against Japan. They had chances against Spain to win. You never want to put yourself in a position where something like that, even though you do the job on the day, keeps you out. So Germany should have done more in the group games they've had.
They've made a right mess of the group, haven't they,
Yeah.
by obviously starting off with where they were at. I'm stunned at Spain. I mean, I can't believe that in that second half there, but well done to Japan.
And you're stunned at Spain, who were excellent in the first half. Then Japan went forward to the back and really changed it. But the equaliser, actually, for all the controversy about the winner, the goalkeeper's had a nightmare.
The big decision for Spain in the next game is whether they stick with their goalkeeper, because Simon, to be honest with you, he's not filled me with confidence. He's the one part of the team that looks like a real weak point, and I have to say that it starts off badly. I think the sort of, we know they play out from the back, we know they take chances, we want them to continue to do this. It's how Spain have operated for years, so we're not trying to change that. But once this shot comes in, I mean,
It's the guy on the left-hand side. This guy who was that?
I don't
he makes
think
a mess of it.
Yeah, but they do that, Graham, don't they? They do that. They do
that.
that. But he's got to save that. I mean,
Straight through him, Gary, hasn't
Yeah, it's no good that. I mean, you've got Raya on the bench. You've got Sanchez. De Gea's still at home, and I know that he's not been brilliant these last few years, but I can't think that he would have let that in. I mean, that's a real bad one. That in a knockout game.
Solid hands to it.
Yeah, in a knockout game, that's fatal for you.
Morocco against Spain, Japan against Croatia. That's how it looks in the last 16. What an evening we've had here at the Khalifa. More to come.
No, listen, it's shaping up to be a great World Cup. I think it's been fantastic so far. And it's like any other World Cup. The further you go into it, the games get better, the players become more relaxed. Generally the big teams turn up when it really matters. But I was thinking of Germany when I started that sentence.
I mean, is there any such thing anymore in this tournament?
What's a
big nation. We've just seen two go out today, Belgium and Germany. So, if you're a sort of so-called smaller team in this tournament, you've got everything to play for. Go for it. There's been so many examples.
Yeah, absolutely. Just say Japan, Croatia have been fantastic in the last 6 years, but they're an ageing team. Let's be honest, aren't they? And with the energy and the belief that Japan have shown, that's one game you look at and think. Yeah, there's absolutely no certainty Croatia go through.
They'll fancy their chances, and when Spain get back into that dressing room, they'll probably work out that they've gone down a little bit of an easier side of the draw.
Yeah, that's the other thing we haven't mentioned. Yes.
And they'll be
not deliberately.
Not deliberately. No, I mean they were trying to go for a goal at the end, and there's no way that they were sort of in control of that decision, and obviously the goalkeeper throwing one in. But Spain will get back in there and think they've got a better chance of progressing to the semi-finals now than they actually did do before. And look, at this moment in time, I think you look at some of the African teams, the Asian teams, they fancy the chances in this World Cup.
Is this a Winter World Cup where mid-season, does this start to explain the strangeness, if we can put it that way, of some of the results? Or just the narrowing of the gap in international football?
I think it's more about the qualities of emerging nations. I think you've seen Japan tonight. I mean, they looked like an experienced footballing nation with a great pedigree. They were at it. They stuck together when the going got tough. I think you have to put the USA in the same category. They've been really good, and you look at them, and I watch them playing against England. I'm thinking that's a team with pedigree, not a team that's just sort of getting going in world football. And I think it's a closing of the gap. I really do.
And it's the exposure, isn't it, in the big leagues to all these players. You'll even look at Australia as well. The fact that they're playing in major leagues now.
Well, you made the point earlier, you look at USA, all those lads are playing in Europe. So the fear factor, the inferiority is gone. The Japanese, a lot of them are playing in Germany, in Spain. So I think there's a psychology shift that's happening.
We don't tend to trust FIFA at all, do we? Obviously in our country, and for a good reason. But the reason they've moved the actual World Cup to 48 teams in a few years' time is to widen in participation, to give more African Asian teams to be able to do it. And in the Premier League, we see all the VAR cameras. We see all the VAR cameras. Here we don't.